This podcast is rated R for restricted. Under 17 requires accompanying parent or adult guardian.
Mission 250.
Welcome to the Mission 250 Filmcast, where we are watching the best movies ever made according to IMDb. This week, we are on to number 70, which is the 1981 movie Das Boot.
Das Boot?
Did you guys know it was Das Boot?
Is it Das Boot?
It's Das Boot. You say boat. Yeah,
It's Das Boot.
It's not boot. It's not quite boat. It's like it's a little bit like boat. It's hard to
German.
say, but yes,
Okay.
mostly it's boat.
Das Boot. Das Boot.
The boat.
Das
Yes, right. Right. The
Okay.
boot. Right.
So this movie was written and directed by Wolfgang Petersen, and it was based on a novel by Lothar Buchheim. The synopsis is the claustrophobic world of a World War II German U-boat, boredom, filth, and sheer terror.
Hey, before we start, I would say I think this is one of those where I would say if you have not seen this and you appreciate war movies,
see it.
Watch it.
Go see it.
see it? No, not go see it, but try to
Now, why
find
don't you
it.
leave your house? You can go to your friend's house, maybe
Go
go to a
see
theater.
it. Go rent it. Honey, I'm going down to the TV.
And I
We
just
have
want
to-
to say everyone watch the director's cut too, right? We all watched
But
it.
we also have to say that, like, you know,
Yeah.
that the director's cut is not exactly available.
Is it not?
I got it through Apple TV.
I mean, Amazon's is not the director's cut, so I
Oh, really?
just couldn't get it there. So you could have bought the director's cut for relatively cheap on Amazon, but I didn't see
Yeah.
it on
Oh,
Prime Video.
I saw it on I got it through Apple's rentals through. yeah.
There you go. All right. Well,
Yeah.
there you go. Apple it is.
Well, I'm glad you still got to see the director's cut, though. I don't.
Yeah, I got the right- I got
I
the
bet
right
Danny
one.
can fill us in on what was left out, maybe. But
Oh, yeah. I got a
it'd be
bunch of
interesting.
stuff on the director's cut and the TV
Yeah, I
edition.
figured you would.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, there's two different cuts, or three different cuts. There's the director's cut, which is the one we watch, is 3.5 hours long. The television cut, which is about 6 hours long, and the theatrical cut, which is about 2.5 hours long. And we watched the director's cut. And by all accounts, the director's cut is the best one out of all of them. So that's the one we chose to watch here.
Yeah, or worse, just in terms of how you think of good. It was suspenseful.
Oh, yeah, definitely suspenseful. So this week, we have TC. It is TC's turn to review this movie first. TC, what did you think of this movie?
Go, buddy. Go.
All right. I mean, you sum it up. It's tense, it's drunkenness, and it's a lot of sitting around.
Yeah.
But
That's
I
true.
mean, there's some fucking serious moments in this movie, man.
Oh, yeah.
You know what was really cool is that you just, after a while, you forget these are actors. I did.
Yep.
I'm like, I'm watching
feel
a
like you're
fucking
with
real
them, right?
thing here, right? Like
Yeah.
these guys are in this boat, right? Like this is fucking serious.
Right.
Yeah, I liked this movie a lot. It was
Yeah, I
fucking
feel like you're in.
great.
I mean, and you are. You're like in. It's like you're always in the boat with them. So it really does. It really starts to feel like that's just you're just there.
I
right?
mean,
Yeah.
yeah, they've got, that it's just they did a great job of like counteracting the boredom with like crazy moments, and then like they put you back into like nothing happening. But it's not boring like a nomad land. You know what I mean? Like it's yeah, dun-dun-dun, I just had to do
yeah,
that.
right.
It's like there's a real purpose for the silence for a bit, and then they bring you and ramp you back up into
Right.
like
And then even
that
like
pinging
and-
radar. And,
Right, right.
man.
Oh god, yeah, and yeah. Even when when they have those quiet moments waiting for the next detonation or whatever. Holy cow, that was
Seriously.
And I remember
intense.
thinking to myself, I'm sitting there and I'm listening to like the radar thing, and I'm like, imagine if fucking battleships had this radar while you were playing as a kid. You know, with the little fucking things like A7, and it was like bing, bing, and you're like B3. And it's like fuck, turn 5 degrees, C7, C3. Fuck, I don't know where it's going exactly.
I can't take it, Jimmy. I can't take it.
Right, exactly.
Oh god, Daddy's
You know,
got
the
to
whole
shoot
thing.
Billy. He's leaving his station.
Yeah. Like that game would have been so much more awesome if they had the radar ping.
You could
You know,
reposition the battleships as you're
honestly,
playing.
yeah, right. Like you could go by degrees, right? Like
Yeah.
the pegs weren't just the only option. Rotate 5 degrees. Rotate 5 degrees. So I thought, I had this movie is definitely you glued to the screen.
Yeah, dude.
You know.
For sure.
I'm glad they had an English dub though. I would not
Oh,
have
you
done
did
as
the dub?
well if I was watching this in German.
Oh,
I
interesting.
listened to it.
Really? So the English was good. It didn't
Yeah, it
seem too
was.
off. Wow.
No, because the German language seems very like the way they move their mouths. It just fit. Like you didn't notice that it was dubbed. I was actually
really
like very
interesting, yeah.
surprised.
Well, they actually
Yeah.
got some of the actors to come back from Germany to redub themselves
Oh,
15
shit,
years
really?
later. So yeah, the red-haired guy that was one of the
Wow.
guys.
So
who
it's
did his
probably
own
why
thing.
it
Right,
sounded
wow.
more like it then, because
Right,
it
right.
was
So that
actually
works,
them,
right? Because
Yeah,
wow.
so their voice matched their, everything. So
Oh,
yeah,
holy
I mean,
cow.
it was
Right, same
a
kinda
lot of good
acting.
stuff in there. I mean, there's just so much to talk about. The one thing I did notice that was weird was there was a lot of blue and red light. Like, is that a thing in
Mhm.
subs, or is that just Hollywood being like, I got blue light and red light?
No,
Yeah, it's
no.
not like the people outside on the other ships could see the light coming from inside the submarine.
I feel like that was just Hollywood, just being Hollywood, like, to
Right,
create.
John doing his little search here from the BBC Science Focus. Why red light's used on submarines is because the red light is chosen to preserve the night vision of the crew while allowing them to still see their instrument
Oh.
panels.
That makes
They
sense.
switch to red light when it's dark outside, so crew members need to use the periscope, or if they need to go on watch duty,
Cucumbers.
they don't like have to have their eyes adjust to the dark so
Just.
much.
Oh, that's the same reason they wore
I see.
those goggles with like the blackout goggles. Where I had questions about that watching it, but they wore those.
Those
to,
were cool looking.
Those were pretty.
I gotta
cool
say,
looking.
go to the beach with those. You'd be like a little bit weird, but they'd work.
You get that nice little tan
I,
where your
yeah.
eyelids are just nice and pale still.
Yeah, just go home with that fucking tuna fisherman fucking look. It's hot right now.
Yeah.
There was a lot of just watching them sort of just get worse and worse and worse when they're stuck down there at the bottom too.
Right,
like
right.
people
Oh,
losing
man,
their
yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
Like it was just like this downward hill, and when that fucking thing got off the bottom of the floor, like I felt elated. I was like, yes,
Yeah.
they're going to the surface, right? And then like
Yeah.
you get to that last bit, and it like I was not expecting the planes coming in with the bombs.
Oh yeah.
I was not
Me either.
expecting it at all.
No.
They made it. And I was like,
Oh, yeah.
so this whole point was to like show like how bad it is when they come back, and they're like looking at them and they're coming back and they're all like saluting the people, and it's quiet and it's dim. We're like juxtaposed to them leaving to ocean, and it was like, everyone's hammered and fucking having a great time. We're going to war, and then they come back and they're like, that was fucking miserable, and you can see it. But then all of a sudden the planes come in, and I was like, holy shit, I was totally unexpected. So I mean, that's the kind of cool thing about this one, I think, is there was just a lot of twists and turns. You didn't know where they were going. You didn't know when something was going to happen, and you didn't know when it was going to be boring. And I think that's what kept it kind of like, interesting to keep watching. And I got to say, like, just all the actors, even the ones in the background, they all had their little parts, and they
Yeah.
stuck to them. Like the guys
Yep.
screwing in the light bulbs or doing the maintenance, or like there was just like awesome
Right,
stuff.
that's
there.
huge. That is that's like to think of how many people they had in the scenes that had to be in character the whole time. And you're in this small space, so you're not going to miss anybody, even if they're like not. They're
Right,
like even if they're in the
right,
background,
right.
that's still really goddamn close because you're in such a small space. So they'd better be on. If you had some idiot like just like apparently not clearly acting or something, it would really ruin it. So
Yeah, or like looking at the camera
Right,
randomly
yeah,
by
yeah,
accident,
like,
from
yeah.
afar.
Hey,
or like,
Mom!
because you're sitting there and they're doing like, I'd just be watching the light bulb, and I'm like, this guy's timing his twist to like the line that's being spoken,
Yep.
right? Because they would have a lot of these shots that would show up, like they'd pan left or right, and then all of a sudden you'd see someone do something, which means they're waiting for the camera to get to a certain spot, and they must be timing that on the lines. So like they'd be here, and the guy would do like the same thing over and over again, probably in the background, while one of the main actors was delivering their lines. Or like they had a lot of the like panning left and right, and like the eye movements where like they would show a character and his eyes
yeah.
would like go left or right,
Yep.
and then that would direct the camera,
Yeah.
and then it would land, and then that actor would look some way and it would go again. It was like really choreographed. It just seemed like, but it wasn't obvious unless you're like, hey, I'm noticing this because I'm wanting to, right? Like, it's not like you could have totally ignored it if you just weren't paying attention. But
Yeah,
like,
it was
I
like
ended up,
simple and logical.
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
right. That's a good way to put it, Denny. It was logical, so you didn't feel like it was.
No, you
Weird.
felt like you were there, sort of looking around.
Right,
like you felt
right,
like
right.
you were the camera, kind of, or you were the ones like if you're following someone else's gaze, then you're just like, yeah, what's over there? And yeah,
Right.
it's impressive.
I really liked the character development of the reporter too.
Yeah.
Because he started out like so scared, so gripping the wall every time something happened, to like this seasoned war vet. I'm staying with the group. I'm all good. Let's do this. You know what
to
I
then,
mean? It was
to
like,
then like facing
and
his
it's
own
subtle.
death
It was subtle.
and breaking towards the end,
Yeah.
like that. All of that was
Oh man, that scene where
It
he
was
like
great. It was great.
facing his own death. His acting there was just incredible. Yeah,
was
the acting
man.
just from everybody was so good.
Yeah, I mean, the acting in this movie was great, and I'd never know who any of these people are, right? And so I don't really have too much else to say other than like, if you like Denny and John said, if you like tense movies, if you like suspense, and you're like a dude, you're gonna like this movie.
You gotta be a
I don't
dude.
know. If you're a dude,
Gotta be a dude.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
did
mean,
Naomi like it?
kinda.
I mean, Nikki passed
She
on this
she
one.
didn't watch
She
it.
said it's a war movie.
Yeah.
See what I mean? So that's already two. I already proved it. It's two. It's 2 for 2. So I mean, if you're a dude, you're gonna like
That
it.
too. That's the other
It's
piece.
3.5 hours long, but
Yes, it
it's also
is.
all dudes. I mean, there's not. It's literally a
Dudes in a
movie
can
about
is what this
dudes
movie
with
is.
dudes.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's
Yeah, and there's not a lot of good-looking dudes to draw the women in.
No,
I don't know.
they're
I thought
ugly
the
looking
captain's
motherfuckers,
handsome.
dude.
I thought that
God,
captain's
they're all
handsome,
greasy
dude.
Yeah, he
and wet,
wasn't.
and they probably stink, and they got the gross beards and all.
Oh
this
yeah, yeah,
stuff.
you're right. That's true.
Yeah,
Gnarly
That's
looking
fair, yeah.
and fucking
Yeah.
yeah.
they're pretty grimy. down there.
Yeah, like that one fucking scene where the guy loses his shit and he almost gets court-martialed for it.
Oh,
That guy was
Jesus.
fucking-
Oh, yeah, the
I thought he was a
ghost.
zombie.
Yeah, well, he looks
Yeah.
so
He
he
looked
looks
like
so
a
like
fucking
starving
zombie.
anyway. But holy shit, yeah, that scene was really tense too. And he's like going, he has to get
Yeah.
the gun to shoot him, and you know he has it, and they're just
I
not going
know,
to show it
I know.
to you for a while. They're just, but yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I mean, I really enjoyed this one for once, and I got really, not too much negative to say, other than the fact that the plot kind of stagnates a little bit because it's the same
think?
thing, right? Like it's the same one-trick pony, right? Like it's tense. It's something's gonna happen. Something happens, and then it goes quiet, and then it goes like that again and again and again and again. But they vary in like dynamic, so like that's kind of the important part
Right.
to be mindful of. But like it's the same one-trick pony. It's just
It is.
varying in how tense or what the subject matter is, and I guess that's kind of the interesting part about why
It is.
you stick
It's
with
tricky
it for 3 hours
because they want to show you that it's like freaking boring on one hand, and really in the book which John's book corner, I read some of the book at least.
Nice.
But in the book they really go into that as well too. Like they're so bored that they want action desperately. Like they they get to the point where not everybody in the crew, but a lot of people, the captain in particular, but other people are just like, come on, let's go fight something.
Jeez.
When are we gonna get some orders? That kind of
And
shit.
the movie skips ahead a lot. Sometimes you don't see like the way the book describes the really long periods of time where nothing's happening. I mean, the movie does it a little bit, but the book is even more detailed about that piece because it goes into what they're thinking and the passing of time. So
Apparently, the TV version,
Well, yeah.
the 6-hour-long version, goes much more into depth in that
Yeah.
area.
Oh,
Oh,
before I
man, I
forget,
know. I was
so-
reading about that. I was like, what the fuck?
yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah,
miniseries?
I don't know. I mean, yeah.
People liked it though. People really liked
Yeah.
it. They just didn't like the original one. The one that
original
wasn't
one?
the director's cut. Whatever that other one
Denny's
was.
going to tell
people
us
didn't
all
No,
like
I
about
mean,
that, I'm sure.
The theatrical cut won. It got nominated for 6 Oscars, and it was one of the most successful
did?
genre
Oh,
movies.
I was reading a bunch of like people's reviews on it online, and they were like,
Oh.
a lot of people. Maybe it's just because the director's cut is the one to watch.
It is now. Yeah,
right?
that's what
Like
everyone says.
Yeah, right. It's probably newer reviews. So, anyways, I'm good. I'm done. So someone else can jump.
Nice.
in.
You did good job, TC.
Yeah,
Good
dude.
job.
Yeah.
John, do you want to go next?
Oh, before I forget, blue light is for silent running. So it's to indicate that you're on silent running. That means everybody be quiet.
Everyone, shut up. Ah,
Huh.
all right.
So red light's to preserve night vision. Blue light was for silent running, where you don't expect. It's not like you're going to be popping up to the surface then, because that means you're in
They
trouble.
can really hear people move
Interesting.
around in a submarine from like way above the water.
Yeah,
You must be
If-
able
if
to
they have
hear,
other
yeah,
people
through the
that are
water.
like doing sonar
That's
operating
crazy.
that are listening through headphones, just like those other guys are. Yeah, you
Oh my
want to be
god,
quiet.
man! I can't imagine. Like,
Damn.
I would just watching this movie. I would never go into that hole. Not once. Not even on a tour. I would never go on a submarine.
Ah, yeah.
Ever.
Denny, nope, I'm out.
Yeah, never.
Yeah. For
Not
anyone
for-
listening, if you could see Denny's face and the way he just pointed at the wall, like it was very with conviction. Like he's just
Not
over
joking.
it. I would not do this stuff either.
How about
Hell
you go
fucking-
next, Denny? Because you're going to talk a whole lot for trivia. We should space up your time here.
That's very true, John. Very considerate of you. So sure, I'll start my review by saying this is probably the worst movie you could ever watch with a hangover.
Ooh.
Is that what happened for you?
Yeah,
Sunday?
Oh,
Sunday,
dear.
Sunday,
Yeah.
Sunday morning.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Woo.
Everything is moving constantly. There's stuff in the background that's just swaying. There's no comfortable movement basically in the entire 3.5 hours. Everything is wet. Everything looks like it smells bad. You're sleeping next to gross people. There's no showers in there. There's one bathroom for 48 people. all the food is just rotting as you're sleeping next to it, as you're getting dripped on constantly. You're going outside, you're wet, like your clothes are just always wet, and you're living like there's no getting dry because
It's not
everyone's
just-
on top of each
Think
other.
about it, too. It's not just wet. It's seawater. It's salt water wet. I
yeah,
mean,
so it's like
Oh,
itchy and sticky.
God, yeah, like when you get home from the beach, right? Like the best part is taking that
Yeah.
shower.
Oh yeah,
Right.
Like imagine just always just like marinating in that filth,
And then
like
s-
for fucking.
and then sleeping in that.
Oh.
filth.
And then homeboy's pissing in a can, and you're like, dude, we got to be in here for like another 4 weeks. What's the
Dude,
matter?
and he was doing it too, and they were getting hit with the depth charges and everything. So like, that,
No,
he's
they
not
don't
keeping it in a
show you
can.
what
Did you
happens
say?
there, but
Because I
that
said
didn't
out
end
loud,
well.
that piss just went everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Right?
dude. I thought the
Okay,
exact
cool.
same thing when that
Wasn't
happens.
just me. Anyways.
Dude, you come up to works, you spill the pee cup all over the panel here, and the map is all crinkly
Right.
now.
Oh, you ruined the boat. You peed in the boat. Now it's ruined. Now we got to go back.
Off the ship. Yeah, go to the surface. We're kicking this asshole out.
And I couldn't help but think during a lot of the movie, like how bad everybody's and everything smelled, like just the stink in the
Oh,
boat.
yeah. No, the book
fucking
goes into
nasty.
detail more about that, too, about the smells. Yeah, the stench.
Yeah, and on top
Yeah.
of all of that stuff, there are the scenes where they're being hunted by the destroyer ships above when they're dropping the depth charges, and they're kind of just waiting for it. Like there's a lot of shots where it goes from face to face of like how every individual person is dealing with the suspense of like if they're gonna die and just being in a tube underwater and how frightening that is. And those scenes went on for a long time. Like there was a lot of just facial shots, but it didn't seem long. Like it moved at a pace that was just, it made it feel extra
It was.
suspenseful.
I mean, I
It
didn't.
was.
I wouldn't say that it it went in a way it went by fast, but I was getting exhausted from the tension. I mean, I wasn't like the movie was boring. I was getting
very
I was
unpleasant.
starting to get tired for the tension.
well, I think that's part of the point too. Like it's supposed to let you feel what these
Right.
people are feeling. Like this,
Right.
like the fights went on for a very long time. Like, can you imagine how scary that shit would be
Oh,
to be in,
I can't.
in
Oh
this
my
situation?
God.
No, I can't.
No,
but
I
they
don't.
show back to TC's point, your point too. The way they show every single one of these actors, the way they show their fear is so well done.
Yep.
That
Mm.
it's just
Very
it really
believable.
adds to that. Yeah, it
It is,
really
yeah.
adds to. That's got to be hard. It's like, yeah, okay, you're gonna sit there and run the camera for 15 minutes and be fucking scared. And I don't know.
And part of the fear was real because these actors were being thrown around
Oh,
inside
wow.
the set here. You know, like there's real danger for them in
were
a
they
lot
in
of the
real,
shots.
did they have a real submarine? Did they have like
Not a real
German
submarine. No, it was a set.
No?
I can
It
talk about
freaking
that. in
looked
the
like they
trivia.
had a real
It
submarine.
did seem like
yeah,
it. Yeah.
really did. I can get into a lot of that stuff in the trivia portion of the podcast, but I think that's one of the best parts of the movie is how real you feel. Like it feels like a real submarine that you're in, and it's really surprising that it's not.
I could have sworn there was.
I would have been
There was
surprised
good
if
stuff.
they
Yeah.
had if they said they'd restored like an old U-boat and they used it. It freaking
Yeah, man, that would have been
looked
totally
like they
believable.
did that. I didn't.
Yeah, I think there was only one shot that kind of made me think about how they were shooting it. It was the kind of the profile shot where they were outside the boat, and it was just the shot of the bridge. You know what shot I'm talking about?
I mean, I would see they didn't have like their hair blowing or anything when they were on their outside shots. And if I started to think about that, it made it
Their
look
hair
like
was
they're
blowing,
on
man.
a
Their
set.
jackets were blowing, their hats were blowing off their bodies, and all that stuff.
They had like water, like I don't know. My God, I don't know if I've ever seen a movie where people get so much water in their faces in all kinds of different ways.
Yeah, dude,
But-
it's just freaking buckets of
so-
water in all the
but yeah.
actors' faces all the time. I got a lot of trivia.
Holy cow!
I got a lot of trivia on how they did all those shots and how they did all the
I mean,
submarines. and
so
stuff.
were they on a set when they were doing those
Should I save
the
that for
scenes when they're
the trivia
outside?
section?
All that
Well,
water.
It's good
all
to
that water. Well, I
intersperse,
kind of.
you know?
I want to
mean,
know. Yeah, I want to know if they were like in the water tank or
like
what.
when they had that water coming over them. Was
Yeah.
that
Gotta
on
be.
a set?
That was a set, yeah. All the bridge shots. The bridge is the thing on top of the submarine where everyone stands.
Yeah, where they're
just to
sitting on.
Clarify, right? Any shot
Yeah.
where it was there was a set, and they had hoses and wind machines, is what they said. So they just
Damn.
blasted all of the actors with hoses and wind machines to create a storm. And then they had on a screen behind the set, they front projected, the image of a stormy sea, and that was it.
God damn, they did
What?
it so
That's
well.
it?
They did it. They
That's
did it
it?
It
well.
looked amazing.
Yeah.
That's all it was. It looked like
Yeah.
they were in a fucking tank. Like
I
or like in a.
friggin' thought
It
I
did,
thought they
dude.
were
Shit.
on location. I just thought I don't know.
I thought so too. Like there was the scene where they meet the other submarine out in in the middle of nowhere kind of thing, and I was like, I thought that was just two submarines meeting each other in the ocean. They were filming it. That was it.
Like when they were
yeah.
doing the light thing, right? Where they were,
Oh, yeah, when they were saying
Yeah.
hi to each other. Dude,
Yeah,
when that
yeah,
scene
yeah.
was happening, I was
That
like,
looked-
how did they get 2 submarines for
Yeah.
this movie?
They have
And then they
two
just freaking filmed them saying hi to each other
they're
in the
out
middle
in the
of
middle of
goddamn
the ocean? What the fuck? No.
Yeah, dude. It was freaking
Yeah, right.
insane how
Did
it
they
looked.
put these
Holy
guys
cow.
on this fucking sub and make them sit there for months? I mean, like, honestly, that's what you're thinking.
Yeah, there was only one shot that kind of brought me out and made me, think that they might not have been on an actual submarine, and that was the shot where they were on the bridge. And I don't know what it was. I think it was like a lack of movement. Like all the other shots when you're on the sub, there was a lot of movement going on with the camera, and you felt like you were swaying. That one was kind of like a static kind of shot.
Oh,
That one, well, that one
yeah.
I felt of the
Yeah.
less movement just because that sub was going like full speed. So it was, I felt like
Well, that
that
one kind of
you're
makes sense, but it also had the same kind of feeling during these storms.
Oh yeah, during the storms, yeah. I was too busy being terrified at that one when they were in the storms. Holy shit, that was also a whole other kind of scary. When it shows how they were like getting knocked around in the boat and the way they pulled it off. And I don't know that again, did they just have it all on like hydraulics and were just like shaking them like a can of
They
peanuts?
did, dude. So they built this like it was this set. It was like a long tube, but it was like a decorated
Whoa.
subway car, and they actually had it built on the set.
Das
there.
Orange Line. Sorry.
Yeah. Boston train reference there. But they had this thing suspended from the ceiling of wherever they built the set, and they had it on some kind of like a way where they could shake it back and forth. And so all the actors, when they were falling over each other, that was all real.
That's how they had those shots of them fucking in the bunks then
My
when
God,
they were rolling back.
how
'Cause
many
I was
concussions
wondering, I'm
did
like,
they
that
have?
shit.
Yeah, dude, it looked pretty
But
dangerous.
also, I
when
was
they were
thinking,
doing
does
it.
a sub really rock like that? Like that violently? It's too big to go that fast,
That's
right?
what the
Like,
depth charges,
no,
maybe?
no. Have you seen big ships at sea even on the when the waves are big enough?
yeah,
Holy
but
cow.
they're on the top where the waves are.
Oh, well, once
These
but
guys
they
are
were on the-
below, right?
They were on the surface
Yeah.
when that was happening. They were on the
Yeah,
surface when a lot of that was
excuse me,
happening.
I don't know, sir.
They eventually died below. Yeah,
Yeah,
they did
yeah.
die below, and it does get calmer. But yeah,
Yeah.
Oof.
So, I mean, this movie, you could say a lot of good things about it, like the way it sounds, it looks, all the acting is top notch ensemble cast acting. And with all that, technical stuff and just the plot and being invested in the characters and being scared while watching it, I think the most impressive part of the movie is that this movie is about Nazis. And while you're watching it, you don't necessarily think about that too much. And it's not because the movie's trying to distract from it, but it's just trying to show you that like these Nazis are also humans.
well, they're all let's say they're Germans, whether they're Nazis or not. I mean,
They're Nazis.
They're
Yeah.
not. Well,
they're fighting
they're
for the
Nazis.
Nazis. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But
they
yeah,
don't-
you're right.
You don't notice that though. They don't know, and like Nazis don't have fucking empathy, as far as I
Right,
know. And they were like sad
Yeah.
that they couldn't, that those people
No,
were
they
on
were
the ship.
They were again, but
Right,
that's
like
just,
when they were like, "Oh my God, there's
right.
men still on the ship. Why did it take so long? Why didn't they come for them? I mean, it's been 8 hours, right? Like that's not
I
a
was
Nazi
surprised
thing.
they felt bad. I
Do
mean,
they
they
feel
already
empathy?
shot the boat. Like, what did they think was going to
Well,
happen?
I didn't know why. I didn't know.
They
I
thought
also
the
didn't know
ship
why
was
they needed to
abandoned.
blow it up.
That's why.
Like it was already
thought-
like dead. I didn't
Right,
know why
because
they
you wanna
needed to
sink
blow
the
it up.
boat.
the boat with a
You want to sink the
torpedo.
boat?
No, I mean, yeah, but the boat
the
was
sub.
not gone. I don't know if there was much. I guess maybe they want to just get it totaled so that there's nothing to salvage.
Yeah, so there's
but, yeah.
nothing. And then you figured they assumed that people had already been taken off the fucking thing because it was just floating there.
And it's definitely an anti-war film. I mean, you don't feel
yeah,
like
for
this
sure.
is
Right,
anything.
right.
I mean, it's about their heroics and the way they try to pull through whatever situation they're in. But that's not about.
It's not about
like,
Nazis versus
or
America
the winning the
versus,
war or
right.
anything like that. And
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
again,
yeah.
whenever they have a chance to speak of the political figures, and it's the same in the book, they deride them. They don't see themselves connected to the leaders. They're still fighting for who they
That's a
fight
good
for,
point.
but that's probably a pretty common story for a lot of soldiers, right?
Yeah.
You're right, though. It becomes a very more of a common story once because they're in there and they're separated from everybody. You don't really even see the enemy or anything like that, except for that one point. And when they do speak of the enemy, they're actually pretty I mean, they're like fearful of the enemy and respectful of the enemy. Like it isn't about like, oh, we're gonna kick their ass and we hate them. It's more like, God damn, they're good. They're getting better. It's not.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
and there are even
That's a good
scenes
point.
where like the captain talks negatively towards. I think it was it Goebbels where
Right,
there's a scene at
right,
like, the
right.
dinner table where he talks to the other soldiers. like that.
Goring or Goebbels. Yeah, Goebbels. Yeah.
Yeah, one of those two. But I don't know. The fact that they're kind of separated from the whole motivation, like there's that one younger, the Hitler Youth type of guy that they kind of make fun of every once in a while is kind of a
Right.
real Nazi, but everyone else is kind of just stuck with their country, going to war,
Right.
and there's a bit of a separation there that kind of lets you kind of feel more like they're just soldiers for whatever
Right.
country.
It's a movie about soldiers. It's not a movie about Nazis. It's really like a movie
True.
about soldiers and warfare. And the book is very much like this too. The book is exactly. In fact, the movie really and the book are completely complementary to each other. And the tone, the things that happen. I suspect that the 5-hour cut just follows the movie or the book rather exactly because there's the parts that I did read were very much mirrored in the film. And the book has exactly the same tone. It's about these men and what they're trying to do and the sort of how they try to overcome what they're dealt with and how they like try to like survive.
So, John, could you go over some of the differences between the movie and the book, like what you noticed when you were going through? I know the captain was the guy who the screenplay was based off of, right?
The captain, the captain and the war correspondent is the guy who's the narrator in the book, not the captain. Captain dies at the end of the book too.
Captain dies at the end of the book?
Damn.
Yeah,
That was one of the things they said that was not true to the real story.
I'll
Was that
read
the
it. I'll
captain?
read it where he dies at the end of the book if you like. But it's really written, and the author is the war correspondent. That's what he did.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
okay.
I see. It all checks out now.
If the captain had died,
right.
he would have had a rough time writing that book.
Hey, the logic
You
checks
make
out.
a good point
Danny.
there, John.
Yeah, in the book, the captain dies.
That sounds
And
to me like
I-
the book did the same thing that the movie did, where they added a kind of a dramatic ending where the captain dies that doesn't necessarily line up with the true story of what actually happens.
Well,
I don't know.
Could
That's
be.
confusing me
Maybe.
right now.
Logic is sound there too. Dun, dun,
Actually,
dun,
now
dun.
might be a good time to transition to a new segment where John read a book. He read Das Boot this week. He's got a book in front of him. Look at that, John. John, you want to take it away here?
So Das Boot book right here, right?
Oh, it's
I
Das
shall-
book. Look at that.
Das book, right? Yeah, that's right. So last paragraph. Now the captain.
That was good.
Oh, you like that one?
I had that joke lined up, and you stole it from me. You
Oh,
prick.
John. I believe you.
That was the one piece of humor I had on deck.
I believe you, and I apologize, dude.
Ah.
It really lined
Oh, I
itself
quit.
up. It lined itself up
Das
too perfectly right there.
All
Anyway.
right.
I had to
So,
take it.
The captain's called the old man basically through the book most of the time, right? So here we
Here's,
have
dude, I mean, I'm confused because
Yeah.
in the commentary track, they talked about how this,
Right.
there was there's some piece of trivia. I'll get to it during the trivia part where this guy was a part of the production
Right.
of this movie. The captain was. So
what are you
I
on,
don't-
on Tinder over there?
He didn't
TC, what?
actually
Come on,
die.
hey, do you
Oh,
not love us anymore?
I'm looking at the Das Boot cast. here.
Oh, okay, never mind. Go on,
Yeah, yeah.
research. Go on, carry on.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm trying
Anyway,
to
sorry,
find if
G.
the guy
Sorry,
died
Dan.
or not. I'm trying to find if the guy
Listen,
died or not.
I'm going to read the last paragraph of this book
He definitely
that
didn't
the
die.
movie is written on.
Okay, I mean, there's got to be something
Yeah.
where the book
Captain
also
collapses and
takes.
dies, but all I'm finding right now is from the movie synopsis.
Right. So I didn't know that may be the point, Denny. That maybe in real life the true story is different, but I'm the book and the movie seem to really follow each other, including that in the book the captain dies at the end. Maybe what happened in real life, I don't know.
So during the commentary track, they
yeah.
mentioned two things in the movie that were not true. One of them was that the captain did not die in the end like this movie, and the other one was that there were kind of two tours. This book was based on a real story, and there were two actual tours that happened, and this movie kind of combines it into one story, into one
Well,
tour.
no, and I'd also say the book just seems to wrap it all up into one tour too. So I actually think what they're saying is that they're talking about the differences. When they're talking about the differences in the movie, they're also talking. The book and the movie are really the same because there's only one tour.
I can't find anything about the fucking guy dying or not here.
Yeah, I would like to know the real life stuff. I didn't look into that at all. That's really interesting. I do know that the author was the war correspondent, and he's the narrator in the book, and so it's interesting. To that extent, that's a lot of what this book came out of was his experience and perspective of what happened.
Nice, John. Do you want to do a little review here, actually, now that I'm thinking about it?
Yeah. So I will echo everything you guys said. I think that
Nice.
this is like the best ensemble movie I've ever seen, and maybe will ever see in terms of like how they have like a large group of characters all the time on the screen. I don't think I've ever will see anything.
The only movie I could think of when watching it was Full Metal Jacket, in the way that they kind of had the smaller
It's not
characters.
the same. Yeah, but it's
No,
not,
it's
You
not.
still don't have these tight quarters with so many people. Yeah,
No.
but
No, but I think, I mean, it's,
Yeah.
again, I was just
Yeah.
trying to figure out a movie that was similar, because I agree with what you're saying.
It doesn't come close. This
it doesn't.
is
It doesn't.
you're right. I mean, some movies try to do this, but man, I just was over and over impressed about that how they gave you the impression of being in the sub to where I thought they had a real frickin' sub.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the way they would move the camera around, I can't imagine orchestrating these scenes of like, so when the sub dives, everybody goes to the front to put the weight towards the front to help tilt the bow down. And then they run different places depending upon distribution.
Is that what that was for? I couldn't tell.
yeah.
I couldn't figure that out.
So in the sub, like, and so the book does. The book is great. The book is a really good read. I actually only read parts of it because after seeing the movie, I couldn't stomach
Do
the tension
anymore.
of reading the book. But the book is
Yeah.
really well written and easy to read, and it goes into a lot of details about submarines. So in a submarine too, they're constantly like adjusting it. When you're down under the water, the weight is always changing because people are like using up supplies, they're using up air or water and fresh water, and so they're constantly adjusting like the angle and the trim of it. That's like a constant thing that they're doing because you want to like stay like
And
level.
there was nothing
and you're
automatic
always
at
like-
all. No automated,
Yeah.
computerized
Yeah,
systems.
back then, yeah, it's
back
entirely.
then,
You
yeah.
see these people moving the
Right.
dials and shit like that. That's doing the trim and adjusting the trim all the freaking time. And so weight and distribution of weight is insanely important, and it's always changing. Like when the boat's like starting, it's like full with provisions. You see like bread and sausages, and that's weight, and that's
bananas,
like everywhere.
dude. How many bananas can you fit in a freaking
Yeah,
submarine?
I know.
Aren't they gonna go bad by the time
Yeah.
they eat them?
How many bananas is that assigned per soldier?
they-
Like 40
Right.
Did
bananas
they
each?
buy
But they're
them
eating
really
that
green?
food.
They must have
Right,
bought them
and that
really
changes
fucking
that
green.
changes the
That would've
weight.
been a good idea.
But just so orchestrating those scenes of everybody like running and piling up on one end of the sub and the cameras going through and you're watching people. Man, I just was every time they did that, I was just impressed. That they the
I
way
thought
they
that was
pull it
because
off.
everyone was running to their battle stations or something like that.
No, it turns out they're
Right.
just trying to go
Well,
down.
there's that too.
further into the
There's
water.
it's a combo. People
Wow.
have stations, but people are also just a lot of people there are also weight in terms of like what they're doing and what's happening.
Huh.
If you're not like in attack mode, you have a different station and a different thing to do. If you're sitting there diving, you're not like sitting there or trying to escape or something. Then you're not. There's no reason for you to be like manning the torpedoes or whatever. It's
so
not like
they
it's
just
gonna
keep
take you a
like the
while to get
token
there.
fat guy like in the center.
Yeah,
Yeah, stabilize the whole
that's
thing.
right.
Sit
Like
there, run-
no, John, you stay right there, dude. No, you don't go left
Yeah.
or right. You stay right
I
there.
mean,
I don't care what
the
happens.
captain like remarks on it, like he's got all these men in this boat, and mainly like most of them are there just to turn knobs when they're told to turn
Right.
knobs, and it's useless. He's like, man, someday they're gonna fix this, and it'll be all like electronic or whatever, and we'll need like 3 people to man a boat.
Right.
and now you don't
So-
need anybody. So that's good.
Yeah, right. It could be a drone, but I was so impressed with that. I was also impressed with the just the this is like one of the, and I have not that I've read a lot of them, but the one of the best conversions from taking what's in the book and turning it into a movie that I've experienced. Like the scenes at port before they leave were so well realized after based on what's in the book. I was just really amazed. It made reading the book really fun too, and then going to the movie because it was just so well realized between the two. They just really sort of complemented each other really well, and they added some things that were funny, like that line where the uptight Nazi is there and he's like, they pissed on me, and the captain's like, they pissed on me
Yeah.
too.
That was
I loved
hilarious.
it.
Yeah,
and
they-
it wasn't in the book,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it was
yeah.
awesome. I
You
love
mean
that.
you
I
were-
thought that was
yeah.
great. I thought that whole interaction was really cool. But that's the other thing that's really, I mean, like if you really like the movie and you want to learn more, go read the book because it's just completely complements the movie.
How does it
And-
read? Is it
and-
like a pretty entertaining, like page turner type of thing, or how does it go?
It is good. It's like I only found it a paperback online for $10. I couldn't find an an electronic version of it. So, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of times where he goes into descriptions of clouds for paragraphs at a time, and people complain about that. But you can easily skip it if you want. But-
Clouds?
yeah. Well, basically, they just go into, because that's all you have to do is sit there and look at the freaking scenery. So there's times where he just is like, yeah, this is what the clouds were like, and this is what the sea was like. But you can just skim those.
Did he have like
parts
a
anyway.
log or a diary when he was making these that he
Yeah.
wrote the book from?
But I think he had both. He had notes. Sometimes he says, these are my notes for that day. Patrol, this, that, or the other. So he was a journalist, so he was taking notes the whole time. And I may want to read it again at some point, but I
Or
got
just
like
read
only,
it in general.
I got
whole
about
thing.
200 pages in
Yeah.
before I just
Yeah, oh,
time
that's
ran
good,
out on me is
actually.
all.
Holy
Yeah.
shit. That's
Yeah.
good.
Speed reader.
Yeah,
over
yeah,
here.
But
So
but
fuck
yeah,
me, right?
right.
At least he can read.
So yeah, I think again, I don't think I've such a display of tension over and over again. It's these ensemble scenes where I think that's what's when I think of this movie, I will think of all of them around the command center waiting for the depth charge to fire off. That like
Yeah.
image is really in my head, like the way they portrayed that, and it's like I don't know, 10, 15 people all in that room, silent, looking at each other, and you feel like you're there with them. I just pulling that off is really just astonishing. And yeah, you feel like know these people, and you feel like you have an individual sense of their characters, even though you may not know their names or whatever. And you still like the movie pulls that off too, where you're like feeling like you kind of are getting to know these guys because you're spending time with them in such close spaces. And maybe that helps too. You're not seeing them from far away. You feel like you're sort of right there in their faces the whole time. There's any number of things that the character arcs or just showing like the bravery and determination. I can't think of any other movies that have done that so well either. The chief, the chief engineer, like his arc there where he's like just killing himself trying to fix everything. And like the interchange with him and the captain was so moving, I thought, where he's like, good job. That's all he says is good job. But man, it was moving, I thought, the way like he in his really like closed way, you're seeing him lose it because he's dealing with how they're gonna die. They're not gonna make it. And you're seeing the captain deal with it in this really silent way because he can't show how scared he is. And then that whole sequence is just, man, yeah. I mean, if I were to complain, sort of the some of the things that happened feel a little Hollywoody or like a little over dramatic, like more than like that the captain dies, seeing his boat sink at the end. It just seems like that's pretty dramatic, and that's probably not the way it would probably happen. It would just be like, no, you just all get blown
you just
up
die.
and it's over.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you don't
it's
see shit. You're dead. That's it.
Yeah, right. You don't get to have your moment with the boat sinking, but
Right.
So I, if I were to complain that sometimes I felt like the movie kind of had, but the book does that too. That's the scene that happens in the book. So it feels like some of these things are a little bit more staged than maybe they probably would be in real life. But that would be my only complaint. And I don't care, at this point, like after seeing the way the movie pulls these things off. And yeah, I don't know, man. And you can go into more technical details, but how they made me believe they had a real sub is also just, and they didn't have computer stuff going on. They didn't have anything. And I thought they had a real U-boat. Yeah, it was amazing. I can talk about book for a little bit, or do you want to do trivia and then a little bit more? I can tell you a little bit more about what I learned about submarines from the book.
What about Yellow Submarine?
Let's save the book and the trivia stuff for the second episode. I have a couple more notes on the movie I want to mention before we take a little break here. I wanted to ask you guys, as musicians, as semi-professional musicians in your past life, if somebody came in when you were playing a concert and they started firing a gun into the wall behind you, if you would just continue playing without stopping?
No, I would not.
Probably not.
That was gnarly.
That was pro move.
That was gnarly.
Maybe it's a common occurrence, though, too.
Fuck, dude.
Yeah.
That whole fucking drunken
that
scene
was,
a party.
I didn't even mention it, but that scene of out of control, rowdy, drunken sailors, also excellent.
Yeah, it was.
They all
it really
seemed
was.
drunk.
They
Right,
were.
and they
like
did
the guy
that well.
dancing on the table in the
that's not easy to pull off.
background. Like it was crazy.
Yeah.
It was just a fucking
Yeah.
nutty party.
Yeah,
Like
and
they
that
were
was-
acting
was
that
because
party out. Like I swear to God, they must have got hammered. Half of them
Yeah,
and just
yeah,
fucking
right.
went nuts.
They did, dude. So that main actor who got up and did the speech on the stage, he
Yeah.
was hammered. Like the director
Right,
was
the-
talking about how he was hammered on set.
Yeah.
Oh, of course, he seemed like it.
He was apparently very hard to work with, but he was the second actor they cast in that role because the first guy that they hired for that role was too much of a drunk where they couldn't control him as an actor.
Oh wow! I mean, it's method acting. That's what they
Right.
call it, right?
It is like,
Yeah,
says
basically.
you want a drunk? I'm here.
right.
Good job, dude.
Born
They
to
got
play
it.
this
Timmy showed
role.
up the first time. They're like, nah, I
Yeah,
can't
right,
do it. Screaming about Larry Arabia over there. And the lady's like, yeah. Yeah.
Holy shit! Yeah, he's like
Stick to the
mobile.
second guy.
He did good for if he was shit faced and he's still playing his part. He
Can still
perfect.
say his
He
lines.
did
I mean, he
awesome.
looked fucking hammered when
Yeah.
he was sitting
but
there
he still
trying to
did
like
what he needed to do. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Oh,
it was
yeah.
good. Yeah.
It's more amazing acting.
That was again that's like a whole separate section of the movie just because it's so much more. It's so different and open, but it was from beginning to end incredibly well done, and it was a pretty long sequence. Yeah,
It was a long
was a
sequence,
very long
and it
one.
made me a little bit worried because when I was watching it, I was like, "Oh, is this going to be another Deer Hunter where we're going to be in like this one scene for the first 2 hours of the movie, and it's just going to be long and boring and awful the entire time?"
Oh, I forgot about that. I forgot about the
Yeah.
wedding that goes on forever and the deer hunter. Where's the deer hunting? This is just a wedding.
just especially like another war movie that tries to bring you in with like some scenes where they try to let you get to know the characters. This movie just completely destroys the Deer
I mean,
Hunter.
there was just more going on.
This movie has a very similar scene
and
where, they're in the bar in the beginning and it's supposed to be a character introduction. Those scenes are supposed to be getting to know the characters and learning to love the characters. But all they really do is kind of just like do random shit, and they don't seem like real friends. And De Niro like takes his clothes off at one point and runs around for no good
that's
reason.
true. They do.
But,
I remember there was puzzlement about that one. Puzzlement there. I remember puzzled about naked De Niro.
But in this one, it's like the first introduction you get for like his second in command is he's ripping a tablecloth off of a table and just falling over backwards and being
Yeah, that
completely
was funny.
hammered drunk.
That was funny when
Right.
he pulled the fucking sheet off and all it did was take everything
Yeah.
off the table.
But that was fucking hilarious, man.
That made me laugh. That was
Right.
good, man. That was really
No,
good.
that was also the just that they had the respect for each other. It didn't matter what else. There was no like, oh, you need to act like a soldier, or you need to.
No.
He just knew that these were good people that he could count on, and that's all that mattered. Nothing else mattered. Like,
Right,
So
right.
It was like
Like
then
tonight he's
whatever
getting
else you
hammered.
do-
Tomorrow he'll have my back.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Right.
Right,
Yeah.
right. They conveyed that really well too. It was also comical. It was also pretty funny, especially when you bring in the war correspondent guy, where he's like, "Oh, hello."
Oh man, there were a couple funny parts in this movie. Like there was a scene where that one guy who is sitting across, just they were waiting for their shift, I guess, and he rolls up a booger and flicks it at his freaking neighbor.
Flings it at him. Yeah,
So good.
yeah.
And then he starts talking about tying their ass hair and nose hair together, and you're
Yeah.
like, "Holy shit, dude! These guys are the most bored people on the face of the planet." These guys having these thoughts.
They're so bored. Yeah, they've had all the thoughts that they can ever have, and that's where they've
Yeah.
ended up. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
and the book goes into that like just the exhaustive sex stories. Like that's like just all the time, just stories and tales about having sex.
I felt bad for the guy that was missing his girlfriend. He's never gonna see her.
I
again,
know.
You know,
It was
I felt
sad.
bad.
Yeah.
That was sad.
No, those were sad with the letters, and that was really well done, and also the chief, the engineer, who was like when the scene where he's missing his wife, and they like the correspondent just asked to look at his picture, and just him
Right.
saying like appreciating the picture like all breaks him down sort of. It's just yeah, that was also amazingly done.
Yeah, there was just so many good little nuggets in this one.
Yeah,
You know,
There
you
really
turn away
was.
from the screen 1 second, you might miss it. You know.
Yeah.
that's right.
Hey, I had a question. Like, so they had all these rotations of people because a lot of people, like, they had 8-hour, 12-hour shifts, whatever they had, so they could take a rest. But there was only one guy on the audio,
Right,
thing.
we just saw the same sound guy.
the sound guy. Yeah,
One
That's how it
from Mariana.
goes.
or just
That's why
one
I
audio
fucking
guy.
hate sound.
Yeah.
So I moved on from that shit. No
It's
one
like, there's only
cares.
one guy that can do this, and
Stand
nobody
there,
respects
sound
him.
boy. Take the sound, boy. Yeah, no way. It's the worst. It's the worst. Yeah, of course, it's only one sound guy. Plus, I mean, when you sound, you're like that guy's ears is, that's the thing.
But
That's-
you,
he's
I know
making
that
the
they
whole
had
it's all tuned
rotations,
in,
but they still
you know?
at the specialty positions they only had one guy. They had one chief engineer. They have one. So it's not like it's redundant either. I mean, so it may just be that like he's the. I don't know. I didn't really read.
He's the
about
best
this in the
one.
book.
He's got the best
Right, he's the
ears.
best one.
Yeah.
You got to
I
have
guess
like
that
the
makes
best.
sense. Like, you don't want the
Yeah.
second to best guy going in
Right,
there.
right,
and
exactly,
fucking it all
right.
up.
If you're under attack, you want whoever the sound guy is. You don't want the second sound guy
Right.
trying to
Yeah,
figure
like
the
out.
out.
second
First guy,
sound guy has
right.
no fucking frame
Which
of
way is he
direction.
coming,
has
second
no
sound guy?
idea
I
which
don't
way.
know.
He has no idea which way the sonar's pinging. He's got no clue.
Right, yeah,
He's
Yeah,
also
yeah.
dyslexic. Like, he can't
Yeah.
fucking read
Could be
the.
front, could be back. I don't know. It's kind of scary.
I thought you said it was 25 degrees. I said it was 25,
Yeah.
but it's not. It's 52 degrees. Oh,
You
you
fucking
fucking
idiot.
idiot. Right? Like, that's how it would be. Yeah.
We're all gonna die down here now.
That's right. I put it in my
right,
paperwork.
Right. So yeah, they fucking don't care
Yeah.
about that. No, it was a good question though, because you're right. Like those
Yeah.
rotating shifts didn't seem for like they were that guy.
No,
Just
they
looked
rotate
miserable, too.
watches and things like that.
He
So
looked
that's what
miserable.
was watches and lookouts and all of that's going on all the time. But once you're in action, you've got the people that are the best at their stations on their stations.
Right, that's true.
I had a question about the scene where they were going to shoot the engineer guy, like when he was going crazy and the captain went and got his gun. 2 questions. What would happen if you shot, like, what are you going to do with a body?
Where's the overboard?
Launch
How do
him
you-
out of
you
a
don't-
torpedo tube. I
Once
don't
you're
know.
inside, you don't. Oh, that's true. I guess because then once you're
I
inside,
don't know
you
what
don't
you do with a dead
get
guy
out,
on a sub.
right?
I don't know.
Okay, and then the second question is, should you fire a gun inside of a submarine? Is that safe?
Well, if it's close up, maybe. You know, if it's not gonna, if you're just gonna like put a bullet
Not gonna
in his head,
rattle
I don't
around?
know. I would think. I
Oh, and
think
also,
that,
sorry, third question. Like, is it okay to just publicly kill one of the crew members you have on your submarine?
No, the problem was, but they're in an emergency situation. He has to be calmed down immediately because otherwise he's a danger to the crew.
The whole
And
right.
I was thinking, I trying to think, and again, I'm sure in the book goes into detail about this, but that was my guess. It's like you have to have an immediate stop to that.
Right.
Yeah,
and,
I can see
and
that.
you can't. You'd think they'd have something they could just inject them with, or something, but like some like heavy morphine or something. I don't know.
That would make a lot of sense.
but-
True.
yeah.
True. Like, to
But it's
calm
like,
down.
no, he's a danger to the crew. You have to be quiet. People have to be under control, or it endangers everybody. So if somebody's out of control,
kill him.
like,
no.
yeah, kill him. Well, you think the other thing you do is like just knock him out over the head or something. I
Well,
guess,
right,
Get a
right.
hammer.
That doesn't
Yeah.
fucking
But that
work
might as well.
in real life,
I know.
dude.
I know that doesn't work in real
not
life.
real.
You might as well shoot him, right? Because
Yeah.
you're just gonna otherwise you'll just have a brain damaged person there.
Exactly.
But yeah,
I had a question on what you guys thought about the scene where they get off the submarine and they go to like the kind of fancy Nazi dinner party, on the shores of Spain. I think that's where
I thought it was a good breather. I liked it. I appreciated it. I wanted a break at that point before they
Dude,
do
I
this
just
other
appreciated the fact that we got out of the submarine for a couple of minutes.
run. Yeah,
I was like,
but
what is this, salmon
also-
salad in here? This looks pretty
Just
freaking
for that
good.
2 minutes.
Yeah. Herring salad, not salmon
Oh,
salad.
herring.
salmon
herring.
salad, dear.
Look,
That's right.
look
Okay,
like
sorry.
Yeah.
I was wrong there.
I liked I liked how it all played out though. That they're like, oh, these are the heroes. Oh, this must be the captain. Oh no, that's not the captain.
No, that's not him. Yeah, that's fucking.
Oh, the captain's the guy in the stinky
Yeah,
sweater.
right.
sitting
The,
right there.
the number two's laugh was so like realistic. He was just like,
yeah,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
That was really funny.
And of course
So
they
I
picked
like-
that guy to
yeah.
be the fucking leader because he's just so
Right,
stoic
right.
and so like put together.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. He's the model of the German soldier to
Mhm.
them. So I don't know. I thought it was like a really nice. I think it would have been nearly unbearable with what's going to come next and how they make the run the way they do. So I very much appreciated that being in the movie. It was
Yeah,
almost
true.
a bit of like a
was a
bit of tension
reprieve.
release.
Little reprieve.
And it still wasn't boring because of the contrast and the way like these, they're coming from where they are, and there's all these kind of pampered guys trying to honor them, and just the whole contrast with that I thought was entertaining.
Mm.
Totally agreed. I had one scene I wanted to talk with you guys about. The one scene that kind of completely threw me off in the entire movie was, the whole movie had this pacing. It was kind of a slow pacing that worked really good for the tension. But there was one scene where you were following around the reporter, and he's waiting for the bathroom before they're going through the strait there, going into the Mediterranean Sea. And he is waiting for the bathroom. The ghost comes out, the character, the ghost, and then he goes in, and then it hard cuts to the captain. It's like a plane bombing the ship, and the captain is like going gung-ho forward through the strait. Did that seem confusing to either of you? Just like the way that edited
I
together?
thought it was just that the plane came out of nowhere. It's just like, and that's it, and then everything's gone to shit because this plane just came out of nowhere and strafed them, and then they're
Yeah,
really
but
screwed.
the confusing part was that we were with the reporter, and then all of a sudden it cuts to,
Right, but he wasn't there, right? So it
he
just
wasn't
it was
there
just this,
in that scene at all. And then we're all of a sudden with the
yeah,
captain
right.
again. So
Well,
I was like,
that's just yeah.
I was like,
he
what is
just
this, a
sort of,
dream sequence? Like, is this a dream?
Pooped himself into dreamland or something. and
That's what I thought. I mean, yeah, that sounds ridiculous.
Das Poop.
I just took it. I just took that it happened there. And
Holy shit, TC. You just
It had to
named
happen,
the-
didn't it?
The
It had-
podcast.
it
Das
had to happen.
Poop. It's not Das Poop.
Yeah, we're
it's
at the
Das
bottom.
You
Poop.
just branded it, dude.
Here we are.
I'm making t-shirts.
At
And
the
it's
bottom.
always back to shit.
God.
Yeah.
But I just thought
Predictable.
that was just to show the suddenness of it. That like he's like there, oh, I'm gonna go do this, and then just cut. You know, it's just like this plane appears out of nowhere,
That was nuts.
and it completely
My,
changes
my
their
fucking
plans. You know?
jaw was dropped.
It was
jaw.
yeah, but I thought it was supposed to be jarring. I took it as like that's intentional.
Wow, I'm glad that hit you guys. I'm thinking now maybe like there was some stuff that was edited out or something.
Oh,
You know, because they had like
no.
the 6-hour long cut, and maybe they cut some stuff, some transitional stuff out between the guy going to the bathroom and that plane shot.
Continuous, right? Everything was like continuous there, right? Even
was
when
just the
stuff
first
happened
abrupt
suddenly,
cut
you
in the
sort of
movie.
walked up to it. That's a good point. I mean,
Yeah,
and
that
I
is
don't
a
know,
good
maybe
point.
like there was who knows if that was like, you know, the 5-hour version or whatever, like, and they didn't have a good continuous way to get to that shot, and so maybe. You know, maybe they just didn't
Yeah.
have the material
Yeah,
or
they
whatever
took out
to sort of
2.5
like follow
hours.
the rest of the
They're
film
right to that
slow.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, oh,
Yeah,
this
he's
is
gonna
great.
go to the bathroom.
cut.
He's gonna wipe. He's gonna wash his hands.
And it's gonna get
and he's
all
gonna climb
over
back
him. It's
up.
gonna be all over his
And then here
hands.
comes the
I would have
plane.
liked
What?
that. That
Yeah.
would have been good. It would have made sense to me.
Poop hands. Das poop.
I wanted to mention one more thing before we take a break for trivia and stuff. Is that towards the end of the movie, there's, you know, the acting in this movie is incredible, but like towards the end, when they were in the boat on the grounds, I felt physically uncomfortable more than anything I think I had felt in a lot of other
Yeah.
movies
Yeah.
for a long period of time, and
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
pretty freaking incredible.
Right. I mean that and the way. So and again, just credit to the actors in the scenes when they play it. Okay, so
Yeah.
they're stressed. They've shown that through most of the film. Them being stressed in these close quarters. Now they're stressed and have to show themselves being oxygen deprived,
Right.
and they do that really well.
They
It's
did.
like they pull that off about them struggling to breathe and so forth. And man, that's like complicated. It's like
Yeah, dude.
That's a fucking hell of a
So
movie.
frick-
I have to say, it really
Yeah,
is.
dude. It's so freaking
again,
good.
I don't know, best ensemble movie ever. I think.
You're probably
in
not
terms
I
of,
wrong.
agree
like-
with that. I mean, can either of you think of a better ensemble movie than this one?
No, I
Saving
couldn't. I was
Private
trying
Ryan,
to think about it.
Full Metal Jacket,
Maybe,
Band
but
of
it's just not-
Brothers, all the war movies.
Right, but
Yeah,
You know,
dude.
it's just
the
war
movies. But even
It's
then,
the war movies.
Because that's where you're going to have that many people, right?
Yeah, the ensemble
Right.
ones in war movies. For
But you
sure.
always still feel like, well, here's the central guys, and here's some satellite guys, and we're kind of rolling around, seeing here they get their moment, and
Right.
now we're back over here.
Up here
It's
we
not
go
like-
again. Freedom. He's yelling
Yeah.
at this.
William Wallace.
right?
It certainly has their main characters for sure, but the way everybody else is constantly portrayed and how you feel like you're with all of them is what's impressive.
Yeah, like no
you're right,
one is
there's
more
certainly-
important than the other. Right? Even though they have their like lieutenant and their,
Right.
you know, underlings, but like they're all there together. They're all in the same sub. You know,
Right.
not
And you know
one's
who's
not
in
sitting
charge and
behind
you're
the line.
following
The
those
other ones are
people.
going to the front.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's just like
Right.
everybody's together. So you feel it. You feel like you're right there with them. It is. Yeah, it's fucking great.
It's amazing.
I'd watch this again.
Yeah, I would too, man. 3.5 hours long.
Yeah.
It's a long
Not
freaking
right
movie.
away. I still feel tense.
Well, you read the book too. You
yeah,
read
you
the
should read the book.
too.
Yeah, I want to. I'm gonna. I
I'm
don't
gonna
know.
buy it right
I
now,
get
dude.
some time between other books. I want to finish this one. I think just because I want to see what's left out and the other details that are in there.
All right, so it's time, guys. What do you say? Would you put it in the top 250, TC?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
In
Yeah,
fact,
I
I'd
mean-
love to watch this again in like a big screen with good sound and
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
dude.
seeing this in the movie theater would be
great duck.
intense.
That should be our first little thing.
yeah.
The thing they do there. We're gonna
Yeah.
go there and like we'll all
bet they'd-
fly
yeah.
in and then we'll
I'd
watch
love that.
on the Grey Duck
I
Theater.
bet
That'd be sick.
Andy would like this
Yeah.
one.
That'd be
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Because I think that this is again. Yeah, normally I hate all this, right? But no, I mean I'm just so grateful to this to what we're trying to do here because I would never have went and seen this
Never.
movie without having this sort of task in front of us.
Not
Dude,
a
I had this
chance.
movie on my Netflix queue for probably 15 years at this point, and I've never watched it. And I finally freaking watched it with this. Can you blame me though? I mean, come on, it's 3 hours and 30 minutes long. It's German.
Right. 3-hour Germans trapped in a subboat.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't
that's-
sound exactly like a good Sunday.
Yeah.
You know, it's not something I would
Yeah, the
want
synopsis
to...
doesn't do it
Right.
justice either. It's like you know,
Boredom,
submarines,
filth, and sheer
filth,
terror.
boredom. Yeah, right. Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
That sums it up, but it doesn't doesn't really go into like what the story is, you know. So
Right. It doesn't. You're right. You're right. It doesn't tell you that. Yes, it is. It is about that, but it's about at least the way they portray.
Those are the
characters
things
and
that
you feel like
happen
you're part
while
of it.
the story's going on, right? Sorry, Dave. What?
No problem. Yeah, that's what the difference between the theatrical cut and the director's cut seems to be, where the director's cut adds all the character development into the movie, like in between the action scenes,
All the
and things
action.
like that.
Oh, maybe.
I would think a version of this movie without the character development from the director's cut would suck.
That would
In a way,
suck.
I mean that's what makes this. I mean, it's probably still relatively intense, but what makes this so intense is how you feel like you're with them and you know them and all of
Right.
that. So yeah,
All right, guys, now seems like a good time to take a little break. Maybe we get up, stretch our legs, do what we got to do,
All right.
and then come back for some sweet
okay,
trivia.
guys. All right, I'm gonna go to the fridge. I will be right back.
Same. Be right back.
Yeah.